eBay friends, you have landed on episode number 269 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is May 13th, 2026, and my guest is Valerie in Colorado. Announcements. It's been about 6 months since I gave you an update on everything happening inside my online school, the Premium Library, so I thought it was time to share what's new. The Premium Library is one of those projects that is always running in the background. I'm constantly adding to it, usually 2 editions every week, while also updating older material to make sure everything stays current and relevant for today's eBay marketplace. Right now, the library includes 675 lessons, totaling more than 156 hours of education. That's about 7 straight days of content if you watched everything nonstop. Over the past 6 months, I've added lessons on using Chat GPT for different aspects of eBay selling, newly discovered BOLOs, trending keywords and aesthetics, and how to improve SEO by speaking the buyer's language in your titles and descriptions. There's also new content on collectibles, including pottery, tramp art, ephemera, plus a brand new course called Making Puzzles Less Puzzling, where I cover puzzle bolos, tips, and how-tos. I've also added another lesson to the jewelry course, so there's been a lot of fresh material added recently. If you've never been a member, I encourage you to give it a try, even if it's just for a month. There's no long-term commitment, and you can cancel anytime for any reason, no questions asked. Your membership gives you access to the entire library, not just the newest lessons. And one of the biggest benefits is the personal support. Students have access to my 24-hour help desk service where you can email me questions and get answers directly from me, usually much sooner than in 24 hours. I don't outsource anything. When you contact the help desk, you're talking to me personally. We can even jump on a Zoom call, share screens, troubleshoot an eBay issue together, or just talk you off the ledge when eBay gets overwhelming. So that's the latest update in a nutshell. If you're ready to take your eBay business to the next level, the Premium Library is designed to help you do exactly that. Okay, now let's hear from Valerie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I have Valerie with us today, and she has had quite an interesting morning. So you kind of got it all together now, huh?
Yeah, we had probably about 6 inches of snow overnight and a lot of rain yesterday, and our power went out. We were supposed to record this earlier, and it, things weren't working out very well. So, but now everything's back. The sun is shining, and it's becoming a beautiful day today.
Okay, and what is your location?
We are in between Longmont and Berthoud, which is north of Denver in Colorado. We're in a bit of a rural area up here.
Okay, and is this type of weather event typical for early May?
Yeah, they'd say, don't plant your perishable plants out until after Mother's Day. And now a lot of people are saying don't do it until June 1st. So, like
Okay.
tomatoes and peppers and stuff. So, yeah, it does. You do get some weather surprises here. We had some really nice weather. It seemed like it was almost summer, 80-degree days. And then all of a sudden you get this giant snowstorm. So, it's interesting.
Yeah, that just kind of blew my mind because I'm in sunny South Carolina where it's 73 degrees, and you're like, I can't do the call. We had a snowstorm and we don't have electricity right now. And okay. So,
Right.
anyway, but have you been there like your whole life? Is this your
No,
home?
I moved up here after Katrina in 2006, when my house was flooded by Katrina, and
Oh,
decided not to redo anything there. Just the way things were going, it wasn't looking too good. So my best friend and I moved up here together.
okay. So weather has not been your friend.
No, sometimes not. Although I try to look at it on the bright side, I'm happy with where I'm at now, and I probably would have never moved up here if it hadn't have been for that. So,
That's true.
it's
That everything is working out for your highest good thing, we tell ourselves.
that's right.
Good. Okay. Well, I picked on you to come on the podcast because I've been noticing your posts on the Facebook group, and you've had some really good scores. So
Yeah.
let's start off with your eBay history and how and why you got started.
Sure. So I've been a member since 2002, but I really didn't ever sell until probably 2008. I had bought some stuff at an auction, like a lot, because I wanted something in the lot, and then I ended up with these other things, some teacups or something, and with saucers, some fancy, old-fashioned antique teacups. And someone said, "Well, why don't you just try put them up on eBay?" And I said, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." And it was not good. I put them up for a 99-cent auction, and they sold for 99 cents, I think. It was like, I was like, I don't know. But then I thought, well, maybe there's other things that I could sell, and I'm not doing those 99-cent auctions anymore.
Well, that I think that happens to everybody at some point. You just kind of go with the flow and throw it out there and see what happens. And sometimes it's just a lesson learned of don't price it that low.
Right. Yeah. So now I know I price it at what, I'm hoping to get. And th that works out better for me. But I just love thrifting, and I love, treasure hunting and all of that. So when I thought about it, I said, well, I could kind of pay the stuff that I'm buying for myself by finding stuff that I'm willing to sell on eBay. So, I really got into it there. For a while, I was doing pretty well, and then I've taken breaks here and there. When I had my daughter, I really took a big long break, and then I just within the last couple of years decided to get back into it.
Okay. Well, and you talk about the ARC thrift store a lot, and people are
Yeah.
asking, what is that? Is that a Colorado thing?
Yeah, I guess it is. I'm not sure. Maybe it's I think it might be in Arizona too. But yeah, maybe it is just local. I felt like maybe it was bigger, but and people would know, but it's kind of a big chain here. They've got a lot of locations. It's not just your local mom and pop. It's like one of the bigger department store size kind of thing, where they have all the big sections of stuff and lots of clothes. And
What does ARC stand for?
I think it's Association for Retarded Citizens.
Okay. Okay.
So, and of course, they don't name that out because you're not supposed to, use the term retarded anymore, but that was what it
Right.
stood for. So, it's
So
people with
it's for,
disabilities.
special needs type
Yeah. Yeah. So that it supports
charities.
them, and
Okay.
they do have a lot of special needs people that they employ there too. So,
Okay.
it's, they put it into action.
Okay. Very good. So is that your go-to for everything, or do you do other estate sales, garage sales?
Love going all around different thrift stores. There's like a really nice small local thrift store here that supports children who are kind of in between homes. I love going to that store, and that's usually where I donate my stuff. Uh,
Okay.
actually, when I have donations to make, like estate sales, and I like online auctions sometimes. I like to do things with a local pickup so I can just save on the shipping costs. And I'm not above, like, if I find something someone's throwing away. I've definitely sold some good things out of that I've picked up off of, next to someone's garbage can. And
So you are an unashamed trash picker.
that's right. Yeah, no, when I was a kid, I used to ride around on my bike and, go find things we would have a garage sale a couple of times a year. And so I would find things then that I could sell, make a little bit of money then.
Okay.
So,
So you already
yeah.
had that mentality of reselling at a young age.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So you didn't have to do much thinking when it came to eBay. You already were on board with that concept.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely more of just kind of honing in what I am wanting to sell and what sells well. Sometimes you just get stuff and you're like, oh, that's gonna sell, and it doesn't. Or,
Yep.
so, so it's more figuring that out. Because when you get something out of the trash and you throw it in a garage sale, it's just easy. But if you have to go through the trouble of listing and doing the photographs or maybe cleaning it up or something, then you're putting a lot more effort into it. So I've been trying to get a new strategy for making sure that I'm not wasting my time putting stuff up that no one wants.
So is your eBay, obviously it's part-time because your daughter, how old is your daughter?
She's 7.
Okay, okay, because there were some issues with her school and all that today. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah,
so
we
you
we
work
home
it around her.
right. Well, we homeschool, so she's
Okay.
usually at home, but today she has an enrichment program that she goes to. So, yeah, I really am very part-time. I usually only list a few things a week, and but it's good because I like to get the just it's like bonus money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, do you want to talk about some of your sales?
Yeah, sure. I've actually got a really good sale up on auction right now. I bought a Canon digital camera, one of the ones that takes the big lenses. I bought it for $8 at the Arc, and I've got it up on an auction. Started it at $3.99, and it's up to 410 right now, and I'm selling it as untested. That was really surprising to me that, well, actually broken ones are selling for $3.99
Really?
for this camera. Yeah, so I was kind of I was taken aback, but I was like, oh wow, this is a really great find. But I put it up as untested because I can't test it, and I
Mhm.
thought maybe it might bring the price up a little bit because people are willing to take a chance that it might be in working condition, because it might be. It looks pretty in good condition. So I've got that up. I'm waiting to see what happens with that. I have a lot of watchers and a couple bids on it. Well, my biggest sale that I ever made was another thing I purchased from the Ark, and this was several years ago. I bought a big art book of art by about Marc Chagall, who is a stained glass artist, and
Okay.
but also did some paintings and stuff. And there was a lithograph in there, and that book sold for $600.
Oh gosh.
And I bought it for $3. So
Wow.
that was a really good sale there. And I had people, asking me, "Oh, I'll give you $200 for it." And I said, "No, no, I'm not in a hurry. I know what it's worth." It was actually probably, they said, worth $1,200. No, I'd seen some, there were no sold comps on eBay, but I saw like some listed for $1,200. So I said, well, if I do 600, and it took a little while to sell, but it did sell for 600. So that was my best thrift sale find.
Sounds like it. Now, are
Yeah,
you an art person? Do you know about lithographs, for example?
not really, no. But I found out that that was why it had value, and if it was missing the lithograph, then it was, you know, maybe worth like 100 or something, so it was much less valuable without that in it.
Well, that is something I don't know about because when I look up certain art works, it might say it's a lithograph, but the one you have might not be that. It might just be a copy of it. So,
Right. And this was known to be a part of the book. And so, yeah, I wouldn't know how to identify it if it had just been by itself. But since it was known that this lithograph was part of the book when they sold it, and that's how I was
well, if
able to
anyone
figure it
out there listening is an art person, and if you would like to come on this podcast and talk about these things, that would be wonderful because
out.
I'm kind of delving into artwork over the last year, maybe. And it is very difficult to figure out what you have sometimes. I thought I found some original, they're drawings of historical buildings in Charlotte. And it was a whole collection of these framed, one is a church, one is an old, what used to be an orphanage, and it's like a children's home now, and different buildings like that. And I thought they were originals, but I went ahead and bought them and took them out of the frames because the frames were just dilapidated, and they were back from the somewhere in the 70s. I thought they were originals, but apparently they were just copies because it was like, numbered 24 of 500 or whatever, but they still look cool. And I feel like somebody might want them. And I went ahead and listed them unframed. But yeah, I don't know how to tell when it's a lithograph. That is that is a weak area for me identifying art. So
Yeah, I know when you look at something and you can see the little dots from the printer in it, if you look up close, you can see little dots from the printer, then usually that's not, it doesn't have any value because it's obviously just been a cheap
right, it's just been
reproduction.
copied. Right.
So sometimes you can look at stuff and know that way.
And you said you sold a stained glass piece, or was the book about that?
It was a book. He's a stained glass artist
Okay.
mostly. He's done a lot of stained glass for churches, I guess in Europe. And so, but he also did paintings. And so this book was just, covered his art career and had that lithograph. But I did actually sell a stained glass piece. It was a lamp that I picked up from the
Oh,
Ark as well for $8, and I just
wait,
sold
was
it.
that the one that was a collegiate thing?
Yes, yeah, and
Okay,
so
yeah, I saw that on the Money Making Mondays, and I was like, that looks like a shipping nightmare, but not really.
well, I didn't want to ship it, so I put it up and I said, well, I made the box size really big, so if I did have to ship it, but that made shipping so expensive. But I picked it up because I knew it would sell locally because it's the CU Buffs, which is a local college team. So I figured somebody here would do it, and they did. The guy bought it, and we met, and you know, uh, it sold for I think about $100.
Okay, right. Yeah, it was on the $100 thread.
Yeah.
And I saw that it was a smaller school. So I feel like items from the smaller schools often sell better because there's not that as many of them as if it
Right.
was University of Colorado or a bigger school out there. They're more sought after because there are less of them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't see, I saw some ads for a similar lamp with this similar design on it, but there was nobody that actually had any available. So I figured it would do well.
That was a good pick.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I do. I got a Kohler, 3 boxes, 3 different Kohler wall sconces, and I just sold one for $180.
And what's the
They're
brand again? Can you spell that?
Kohler, Kohler, like
Oh,
the
like
brand that
the
does
bathroom
faucets.
fixtures.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you were saying, but I just wanted to confirm that.
That's good. Yeah, I just bought those from my small local thrift store for $10 a box, and there were three of them, and they were new in the box, and so I just sold it as an open box. But the great thing is that they were already packed, all in foam, and they had been shipped by Kohler in those boxes, so I didn't have to do any packing other than retape the box. So I was really pleased with that. And I've got two more still listed up for sale.
Very good. Yeah, those bathroom fixtures can really go for a lot of money, especially if it was made a while ago and maybe somebody is replacing one or adding one and they want it to match what they already have, cabinet handles and drawer pulls and all that stuff. It's not the
Hmm.
most exciting thing to sell,
No,
but
it's exciting when you get the money for it, right?
well, yeah,
I turned $10 into 180 just like that. I was like, yay.
when you're listing, it's like this isn't exceptionally unique or artistic. It's just like a utilitarian kind of item, but very profitable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll sell just about anything as long as I can. It's not too difficult to ship, and I just kind of keep my eye out for things like that where I can. At this point, I'm trying to make more money from each item rather than listing lower priced items. I had a problem kind of feeling stagnated and stalling with my, I would call it a death pile. And then I decided that I would just let some of the stuff go. I was reading about this term called sunk cost fallacy, where you think because you have something invested in something that you need to keep following through with it, even if it's not going to be good for you or it's not going to be profitable, you still think, well, I invested this time or I bought this and I invested money in it. I said, you know what, I'm going to kind of follow this and say, yeah, look, this is not working out for me. I can just donate it and I can be charitable and generous to a charity thrift store. And so I feel good about getting rid of it. And then it lightens me to be able to list some of my other things that are more valuable rather than thinking, oh, well, I've got to, go through this pile and list this thing and I really don't want to. And then you end up putting it off. And even when you do list it, it may not sell. I've been really working on just being able to let stuff go that is, not going to be profitable. Or even if I did make a little bit of money on it, it's not great for my time and
Right.
I'd rather
And you
list things.
constantly have to reevaluate what you're doing in your business because things change. And what's interesting is this fallacy you're referring to. That happens in relationships too, where you're just, whether it, not necessarily your spouse or your significant other, but it's like you've invested so much time in this relationship and you just aren't getting anything out of it. Maybe you've outgrown the person, or for whatever reason your interests and your values change, and it's like, why am I still having this person in my life? It's like,
Yes.
it should be mutual energy exchanged. And after a while, it's just like, I'm investing everything here and the other person isn't reciprocating. And that's just what it reminds me of when you say items you either have listed or have purchased that are in your pile. It's like, do I really want to invest more time in this thing that isn't reaping any benefits, you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah. When I was reading about it, it did talk about relationships as well
oh,
as
okay.
yeah. So you're correct there. It can be applied to pretty much anything in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's called the what
Sunk
fallacy?
sunk cost
Sunk
fallacy.
cost. So
So you sunk you sunk money into it, and then or you sunk time, something that is you feel is valuable into it, but you are not going to, you're never going to get that back out. And you just have to kind of come to terms with that.
Well, and I don't think it's anything we can prevent. It's just
Right.
as you go along in life, you notice these things happening and you're like, okay, it's time to let that go and focus on what is benefiting me. And your time is better spent. And I think it also affects your attitude when you focus on what's working and let go of what's not working.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been so nice to just be able to let go of that stuff and go ahead and list things that have been kind of waiting in the wings that I was like, oh, I'll get to that. That's where, that's something I'm excited to list, but I've got to list this thing first, that I don't
Right.
want to list.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Okay, well, what other kinds of things have you sold over the years?
So I like to sell silverware because it's easy, small, and sometimes it's very valuable. I sold a Ralph Lauren fork for $40, just one fork.
Really?
Yeah, and then there's a brand called Pinty, and I sold two of those forks for 75, and then I sold another two for 60. The George Jensen Blue Shark, that I sold one spoon for $60. Oh, yeah. But of course, not everything, is that valuable. Those are some, good really good sales, but I do have a lot, like a good portion of my listings are silverware I've listed that hasn't sold yet. And I know it's generally considered a long tail kind of item, but because it's so small, and it doesn't go bad, not much can happen to it in storage. So I feel good about trying to list that. But I do have a really big money pile of that because I haven't gotten to list it. I think I probably have like 50 pounds of silverware that I need to list.
You're not selling huge sets, you're just selling random pieces. Are you
Yeah.
finding these like mixed in bins at the thrift store?
I was finding some stuff, like the Ralph Lauren fork. I found that just in the bin, but I've kind of stopped looking through the silverware bins too much. I try not to spend too much time doing that, and then I'll just grab the big bags that they lot it up in and sell for, anywhere between $3 and $10 for just a big bag full of silverware, and
Mhm.
that way I'll just take it home and look through it and see if there's anything good. A Google Lens is really great for silverware identification. That's been very helpful to me, just being able to, because you can see the name of the company that made it, but you don't know the pattern. I use Google Lens to help me identify it.
Right. And it seems overwhelming to me, the research part, because sometimes Google Lens doesn't know. It gives you wrong answers. Not that
True.
you should not pursue that. It's just if you're not into the flatware, it just that and jewelry is just so overwhelming to me trying to find the information. Yeah, that's another hurdle I need to tackle is just jumping in. I don't see it anywhere when I go looking. I'm not seeing it in thrift stores. I think they use a magnet or something to go through, and a magnet won't pick up fine metals like silver and gold, but
Oh, yeah.
picks up everything else. So they're sorting it out that way. That's what somebody told me is, they run a big magnet over it, and whatever it doesn't pick up is precious metals. And they
Um,
might pull that to sell online or put in the front case or something like that. But, lots of people on the group, they find it at estate sales and it's out
I
there.
I
Yeah.
did. I did actually find some sterling silver at the Ark. I paid $12 for this. It's like a antique hot water pot that goes with like a tea set or something. And it wasn't actually marked sterling silver, so that I think they missed it. But it had the stamp on it from Britain, identified it as sterling silver, and it was from I think 1870. I haven't sold that yet. I'm
Oh.
just kind of sitting on it, but it is out there, and sometimes they do miss it, and I don't think maybe they're not using a magnet, all the thrift stores. I'm sure Goodwill is, they're
Right. Yeah.
they they're definitely they feel like they're onto a lot of stuff.
Well, and again, in the thrift stores in the intake area, there's just so much to go through. There's just no way they can catch everything. There's just too much. I know I say this all the time, but I'm trying to drive this point home that there's just too much, and it depends on the employee. Like,
Yeah.
how are they assessing this? Do they care? Probably not. They're not going to get paid more to pull out expensive things. Just being able to process everything that's back there and get it out on the floor is a huge task. So
Yeah,
it's out there and you might find it. You just never
right.
know. People
Well,
say they do all the time.
there's obscure things, that they'll miss as well. Like one of my other really good sales was from the Goodwill. I think I spent about 750 for a box of books that go with a program called Osmo. And it came with a little with a little wand, and then there's a device that you put your phone on or an iPad on. And I happen to have that from my daughter, and we weren't using it anymore, so I added that into the set. But I sold the whole set because they're not making those books anymore. I sold it for $200. So
Oh
that was
gosh,
a recent really good Goodwill find.
very good. And that was a $7.50 investment.
Yeah, yeah, just on the shelf in the toy section. And on that same day, I also found a $75 puzzle there, and I think I paid maybe $4.99 for it. And I sold that for $75.
Do you
So
remember the brand?
Thomas uh, Clink.
Kincaid?
No, it was from the 70s. It was a vintage puzzle.
And it sold for $75.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. And it was still sealed, but it was a little beat up. And, I just tried to show all of that in the pictures. But yeah, $75 for, so that day at the Goodwill, just those two items, I got, $275. So
Wonderful. Now, was that recently?
yeah, it was just a few months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are living proof that there are good finds still out there. It can be frustrating. I
Yeah,
get it when people talk about you can't find anything anymore, it's too expensive, or it's going to take more looking these days.
it does. Yeah, I have my strategy right now for the ARC is I go in there and I go straight to where they put the carts out with the new stuff on it. And I
Uh-huh.
just walk right in the store and I go right there and I go through those carts. And that's usually where I find most of the really good stuff. And then I'll just go walk around the store and do my shopping. And then I'll go back to the carts again and see if they put any new ones out. And then I'll just do a little more shopping. And then on my way out, I'll stop back by those carts because they just keep putting them out. And, that's actually where I found on my way out one day that Wagner Ware Magnolite pot that I sold recently for a
Oh, it's
hundred.
like a cooking pot.
It's an aluminum cooking pot, yeah, and I sold that for $148. I bought that for $8. And that was just I was on my way to the register and I saw it and I said, I think I remember this having some value, and I just bought it, because I was like $8, fine, I'll research it later because I had to go, and yeah, so that's my strategy, and it's been really working out well.
So you're saying they put carts of new merchandise out and it's not being put on the shelf by an employee, it's just for anybody to pick through.
Well, it's being put out by the employees, but they don't tell you can't look at the carts. I
Okay.
just stay out of the way of the employees and, I just look through the carts. They'll push a new cart out or the carts will just be sitting there and they work off of those carts and they don't really push the carts around too much. They just
Mm-hmm.
leave them there by the production area door. And so it's all conveniently in one spot for the most part.
See, that used to drive me crazy at Goodwill years ago. I call them the vultures at the back door. And literally, they just stand there and then they pounce on the new stuff coming out. And at least at the Goodwills in Georgia, they said, you're not allowed to do that anymore. They would,
Yeah, that's
have that announcement come over the loudspeaker that, please allow the employee time to put the items on the shelf. Do not shop from, they enforce that. And if you did, they would tell you to stop it and don't do that. So I get,
yeah,
I guess if you have manners and you're polite and you're letting the employee do their thing, that's okay. Because in some ways, it's saving the employee time because they don't have to put the stuff out if people are buying it right off the cart.
right.
You talk about like those big flat push things, not like a
Yeah.
shuttle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big flat push thing with two,
So
upper shelf and a lower
I can
shelf.
see both sides of it, but as resellers, we want to be courteous and respectful and let them
Yeah,
do their job and not be like
absolutely.
hovering over them the whole time. Because
No,
personally,
and
I do not like to be hovered over. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But
no, they'll
I
have
think,
4 or 5 carts there and just like 1 or 2 employees working off of them. So it's not like you're on the same cart as them. I try to just
okay,
stay, yeah,
right. Yeah.
out of their way.
You're not all in
You
their
know,
personal space and being
yeah,
aggressive. Yeah.
no, no, not at all. And I try not to, I try to be, I don't try to rummage too hard
Right.
through it.
Well, and I get that, but our Goodwills in my area, they have stickers on the items that have the date it was put out.
Yeah.
And, it's about a 50-50 split of finding stuff that's just been put out that day or the day before and stuff that's been there for a week or two. And sometimes I'm like, I can't believe this is still here. How is this still here? This is a great item, but it just all depends on who's been there before you.
Oh, definitely. I've definitely picked up things like I actually bought something on a half price day, that I sold for $75 and I bought it for, I think it was 250. It was one of those Dymo labelers.
Right. Uh-huh.
And it had been sitting there. Nobody, no, it's still in the case, all nice, and it had been sitting there that whole time. So yeah, there's definitely things that you can pick up that people miss all the time.
Right. Okay. Well, do you have any other goodies to tell us about?
Oh, I like to take like parts of things that may not be working. Like I sold some parts off of my broken dishwasher. I've sold old doorknobs, and probably my most interesting or strangest sale would be we're renovating our house, so we took a toilet out, and I sold the lid. I sold the lid of it for $60.
Okay. And what was special about this?
People with older toilets, they may not want to replace them, but they may have broken their lid, and so there's actually like a couple of stores on eBay that just sell toilet tank lids. So I said, well, I can sell mine too. So you just put up all the information you know about it, and I had an old monitor box with the styrofoam packing in it still, and I just cut that packing out to fit the lid. And I was able to ship it safely and fairly easily, and, people just would probably rather change the lid, put a new lid on their toilet than have to change out the whole toilet.
So are you talking about the tank lid or the bowl?
Yes, the
Okay.
tank
Not,
lid.
not
Yeah,
where you
not
sit.
not the
Okay.
seat lid. No. I don't think anyone wanted
Okay.
that.
Wasn't that really heavy?
It was a little heavy. Yeah, they paid for the shipping. I don't do any free shipping because I worry about, when people return it, then I'm out that shipping, and I'm not Amazon for sure.
Right.
I can't afford that. So, yeah, all my items, they'll pay for shipping.
So
That
is
was
it just you and your daughter in your household?
no, my husband as well, and
And
he
how is he with your eBay business? Is he on board with this?
Yeah, he's pretty good on board. He loves it when I make money. And then he also sometimes goes, "Oh, why don't you sell this for me?" And I sometimes I will, but I told him that it's going to be on my terms because in the past he's wanted me to sell stuff, and I said, "Well, I'm going to sell it for the price that I know that it's worth or that it will sell for. And, I'm going to have to disclose whatever flaws there are." And, he was thinking that it might be more valuable than what I was trying to sell it for. So, I said, okay, I'll sell it, but don't be upset if it doesn't get you what you want. I did try doing a little bit of consigning for one lady once, but I decided I didn't like that very much. It seemed like, I didn't feel like what she was giving me was valuable enough. And, it was pretty time consuming. And then my uncle at one point, he had me sell, I think it was a Hummel little statue, and he didn't like the price that it sold for, but I said, well, I mean, if you look at the ones that are listed and sold, that's how much they are selling for. So, that's just, that's
That
just how
is
it
one of the
goes.
drawbacks of consignment is, well, in my experience, people always think it's going to be worth more than it is, and it doesn't sell fast enough. Oh, is it still sitting out? Why? What are you doing wrong? And I thought I'd get more for this. And it's just like selling your house. It's only going to be worth what the comps are showing, and that can fluctuate. But I kind of got out of the consignment business for that reason. It was just frustrating because, and I'm somebody that doesn't like to hurt other people's feelings. So I don't want to tell them, this is not going to be great. And that's also why I don't want people going shopping with me, because they keep coming up with, well, how about this? And no, how about this? No. And I just, sometimes I say yes because I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
But,
I can
better off
return
to
this
be,
later.
yeah, sometimes it's just better off to be a one woman show and make all your own decisions and choose everything yourself. And, people they like it. It's exciting. They want to get involved, but, it's our business and
Yeah.
it's a numbers game. And if the numbers don't work, then the answer is no. And I have a hard time saying no sometimes, especially if it's like somebody in my family, or they want me to sell something on consignment, like for them. And i just I just come back with, oh, I'm just so busy with my own stuff, I just don't have time to take on anybody else's. That's really a great answer than
Yeah.
and your item kind of sucks and I don't want to do it.
Right. Yeah. Let's be nice.
Right. Like, what? Tell me how you really feel, Suzanne. Right? Yeah. Great. Well, how many items do you have in your store?
Usually it's less than 100. So I think right now I've got, let's see, I've got 60, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not a lot, but I've been getting since January. I started back up selling more regularly, and I'm probably getting about $400 a month. Just really, not doing very much work and not a lot of effort. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really nice, and I think as I'm trying to develop more of a keen eye for the better items that are going to get me more profit, I think that my numbers will be going up, hopefully more. And I do try now to list at least a few times a week, and I do see a difference in my sales when I do that. I don't list every day though. That I just don't. I can't get myself to do that, but maybe if I get more really exciting things, I can try
Well,
to
I
do
think
that.
you're going at a good pace and you're balancing everything, because being a full-time mom and homeschooling is very time consuming, and that's something you can't go back and do over again, is raise your kids. So
Right.
your priorities are in the right place, and eBay will be there whenever she gets to middle school and decides she doesn't want to have anything to do with you, because
Right.
that's that's what happens. You'll have built this eBay business that'll that will be there, and then you can start paying for all her teenage stuff with it.
I might make her pay for it. I said, look, if you find anything that's valuable, maybe we can sell it, and you can have that money. I had her actually going through her colored pencils because I love to buy the big bags of them that they sell, for a couple dollars at the thrift store, and then, it's just a big mix. But I found out that some of them are actually quite valuable. Like I saw a sale for these, it's a brand called Prismacolor.
And that's what I was going to say. It's Prisma. Yep.
Yep. And three pencils I think it was a lilac color or something like that. They sold for $75. So I said, go through all your pencils, find Prismacolor.
Yeah, that was something in my BOLO book somewhere along the way, were those Prisma colored pencils. And I never could figure out why some of them sell for so much.
Yeah.
They are the top of the line of colored pencils, but maybe it's a discontinued color.
Yeah, that's what the listing said, was discontinued color. And I said, well, I mean, I don't know, but okay, but we had one, it was light violet or something, and that looked like it had some value to it. But I said, we probably want to put it in a lot. So keep looking through your pencils.
Right. And it's just with anything discontinued, I just am baffled by why somebody would pay so much. Like, just pick another purple that's close to that, you know?
Yeah, that's what I
And
was thinking.
I just wonder, like, do people collect them, or I don't know. That's the way it is with all of this. It's just fascinating that people will pay so much for these things, but we love those people. So, yay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are getting to the end here. Do you have any final words for the listeners about doing this part time, or anything in your experience that you can share?
Yeah, so when you're just starting out, you might be wanting to just try to sell anything that'll make a little bit of money, but eventually you may feel kind of burned out by that. And so, just take a step back and look at what's in your pile that might be holding you back, and think, I can let this go. And if I give it to charity, I'm helping myself and someone else. And I really think that when we give, it comes back to us in ways that work better for us. And also, when you do give charitably, it also benefits your mental health. Don't be afraid to let go of some of your stuff that's just not working for you anymore, or that is holding you back.
Right. That's great advice. Okay. Well, you've already had an exciting day so far. Do you have anything else on your agenda for this afternoon?
Oh, yeah, well, I'll go pick up my daughter, and her soccer practice is canceled due to the soggy fields. So she likes to go to the thrift store with me. So we'll just go over to the thrift store and see what we can find.
Okay. Some thrifting therapy. I love it.
Right. Oh, and I also just wanted to add that I am so grateful for you and your podcasts and your Facebook group. I just wanted to share that gratitude with you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it was wonderful to meet you.
And nice meeting you
Enjoy the
too.
rest of your day, and we will keep watching for your amazing finds on the group.
All right.
Okay. Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Bye bye.
Okay, one follow up. The puzzle that sold for $75 was a Tom Kilka, and that's spelled THOMKILKA. There's not very many of them sold or active, so that is kind of a rare brand, but one you can be on the lookout for. Next week, my guest is another Rachel who has not been a guest before. She's been selling for several years and has a consistent business. I hope you will come back for that episode. And just a reminder, there's always an open casting call for this podcast. All that's required is that you have a passion for reselling. Reach out to me and let's discuss it. Thank you so much for listening. however you do it, while in the car, exercising, walking the dog, cooking dinner, or out in your barn with the horses. I'm so honored to be a part of your life. Talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.